The lumber shed started out by cutting the trees, and then I milled the lumber with my Alaskan chainsaw mill. This was a tree that my father had wanted to cut to build a garage, but little did he know he would never see it happen, and I decided that this would be the perfect tree to build the lumber shed with. I'm cutting this rough lumber, and of course it's green, but once I screw it all together, it'll stay in place. I'll have to cut everything to size with the table saw and my circular saw. But the hard part is over once you get the lumber cut. It's a painstaking task. It's a lot more work than it looks. This is in fast motion, obviously, but it's a killer on the knees. Back to work on the lumber shed. Today I attempted to get some posts up, at least standing. It's going to be a difficult process because I have to get them standing up kind of freestanding, and then I'm going to cut some notches. My plan is, anyways, to cut some notches in the top of each one and then lay a 2x6 or a 4x6 inside of that for my roof hangers to set on. Here I'm just ripping a 2x6 into some 2x4s to make some supports for holding everything together. So I got 2 logs standing, and then I got my line snapped all the way across from my header. So we're ready to roll tomorrow. Today I was able to get all the logs up for the outer wall support, and it's looking pretty good. These wetter logs are heavy. Drilling a hole in the bottom, and then I have to lift the log up, get it up on to the rebar, and that is one of the most difficult things with the heavy log, trying to move it around and find that little hole on the bottom. All in all, it looks pretty good. Now it's time to level off all the logs that I had put in place the other day. As you can see, there's just a little bit of sawdust on me there. Anytime you're cutting up above, over your shoulders there, you get showered with a little bit of sawdust. The end pieces were a little bit difficult. I had to cut them halfway through and then remove the support, and then cut the rest of it. As I've snapped a line across all of these poles here, all the way down, and I'm going to notch out right here for my 2x6 to lay on my header on this outside. So I'll be cutting right across here, down, cutting that out, and then the 2x6 will lay on top. We'll see how that works out. It all worked out pretty good. It was fairly level. Cutting with the chainsaw every time,
Pretty straight.
you know, it's a little bit difficult to get everything exact, but here I'm putting up the rafter hangers, and I got them attached to my 2x6 up there. And I'm getting all the rafters in place. Screwed. I could say screwed and glued, but it's not glued. But this is all rough lumber, cut with the chainsaw mill. I had to get the angle right so that it would butt up against the existing garage, and that worked out pretty well. It was kind of hard to get these in because the hangers are for 1.5-inch lumber, and my lumber was an actual 2-inch, so I ended up pounding them down with a hammer and clamping them and pounding them down some more, and I got them all in, so it worked out pretty good. Then it was time to cut the angles off on a 90-degree angle so they'd look halfway decent. So I used my square there and used the same angle as what I had up on the top side. And then I'll attach my fascia board to that. I used the skill saw to cut these off. I figured that would be the easiest way to do it and the cleanest. And now it's time to get the fascia board in place. I'm just getting a couple screws started in it here so that once I get it up there, I don't have to hold it and try to put a screw in at the same time. Anytime you cut rough lumber like this, you got to cut the live edge off to get a straight line. So that's what I'm doing here with the skill saw. Here I'll be cutting the furring strips for on top of the rafters. The metal will sit on top of these. They don't have to be perfect, so run them through the table saw here, and they're all the same thickness, so that's the most important thing. So the roof is somewhat level, but it's kind of hard on the table saw. But the lumber shed build continues, and here I'm edging the 2 boards that I have screwed together, and I'm going to be cutting furring strips out of this. I need 7 more, and those furring strips will support my metal roofing. I'm cutting 2 wide boards at a time here with my skill saw, the Sasquatch skill saw. It's a 10 1/4 inch, and cuts through that wet lumber pretty good. Binds up a little bit, but it does the job. Now it's time to start putting up the furring strips, which are, they started out 10 feet long, but I had to cut them to fit in between the trusses, and they're 3.5 inches wide and a little over 1 inch thick. I ran out of the strips, so here I just cut some more out of some boards that I had cut with the chainsaw mill. It's a little breezy today, but it's warming up, and the hornets and wasps are starting to come out pretty heavy here, so I'm trying to get this done before I get stung by 1 or 2. There's nothing perfect about this lumber shed, but I cut all the lumber with my chainsaw mill, and now I'm ready for steel. As you can see, I've already put the drip edge on the bottom side there, and now I'm starting to put the roof panels on. I had put one up there yesterday, and I walked away for a second. It slid off the roof and dented the bottom side, so that's why one's laying out to the side there. Being totally out of shape after a long winter has made this task even more painstaking. You can't kneel down on this, so you got to bend over and put every screw in. So it's like bending down, touching your toes, and counting to 15 every time. So it's quite a task when you're out of shape like I am. It's not a hard job, but everything takes time, I think it took me probably about 2.5 hours, maybe 3 hours to put this metal on there. Then I had one little strip on the end there I had to add on. Then it was time to move the lumber from the old broken down vinyl canopy type thing that I had. And this is oak here. This is just about 3 inches thick. It's heavy stuff. I had cut all this with the chainsaw mill. Back and forth I go here. And I got some hard maple that I'm just finishing up, and I ended up getting it all in there. All in all, it turned out pretty good. I'm satisfied with it, and now my wood is going to stay dry, and I'll end up putting some metal on the outside there on that fascia board, and some more tarp maybe around the outside there. I just tarped it in there, got all the lumber in there. If you enjoyed this video, hit the follow button. Thanks for watching, and have an awesome day.